how does an auction work? If you've never participated in an auction, the things you need to know about an auction is auctions. The main thing is 10% down within 48 hours of the close of the auction, and then the balance due within 45 days. So make sure you read the terms of each and every auction, as they may slightly vary, but 10% down, very, very standard, and then the balance within 45 days. Property sell as is, where is, meaning that the property will be as it is at closing, the way it was when you bought it. So, you buy it, you give us a 10% down, and something major happens between the auction and closing, you get your money back. We guarantee the title to be free and clear. If for any reason the title is not free and clear, you get your money back. That's the only guarantee we will give you, is that we guarantee the property to be free and clear. There's not a bunch of back taxes owed. It's not a foreclosure. It's not a fire sale. The property will be free and clear at closing. Obviously, the buyer does a title search, the seller prepares the deed, and then closes on it within 45 days. Are auctions only for cash buyers? We get this question a lot, and no, auctions are not just for cash buyers, but there are no contingencies in an auction. And people sometimes, mistake that for, well, I can't get financing. Financing is between the buyer and the bank. We don't get involved in that. We will help you along the process, but the financing is between the buyer and the bank. So in the event you give us 10% down, you can't close on the property, you lose that down payment. But you are more than welcome to get financing on any property, whatever the bank demands you to do or have to make that happen. You can get inspections done, you can get appraisals done, all that stuff, but the seller at an auction will not do any fixing of the property or anything like that. If the bank required a hand railing, it's going to be up to the buyer to put that hand railing on so they can get the financing, just small stuff like that. But yes, you can get inspections, you can get appraisals, but it's just not contingent on that. And it's between you and the bank. But yes, you can get financing. It's not just for cash buyers. What is a reserve? We get that question as well. People want to know, what's the reserve? Reserves are always confidential. And simply what that is the seller puts a minimum on the property that they don't have to sell if it doesn't meet that number. So for example, if there's a $100,000 reserve on a property, the property brings $90,000, the seller has the right to accept the $90,000, or they can reject the $90,000. If they did reject it, we reach out to the high bidder, and they have first option to buy at the reserve or counter offer. It becomes a little bit of a negotiating process if the reserve is not met. Keep in mind, it's not our goal to take properties to auction with sellers having reserves too high. If we don't sell the property, we don't make any money, and the seller doesn't win and the buyer doesn't win, because everybody has just wasted their time. So when we take a property to the auction, we're confident that it is on the money and within reason of what the property is worth. Another part of the reserve auction is obviously the reserve part. All auctions are with reserve unless otherwise advertised. The other facet of that is an absolute auction, meaning the property sells to the highest bidder for whatever it brings. So anytime you see something on our auctions that says sells to the highest bidder, there's no reserve, there's no minimum. Whatever the last bid is the winning bid. So there's an absolute auction and there's a reserve, and those are the only two kinds of auction. Another question we get is, do I need pre-approved to bid on a property? I would recommend a buyer to be pre-approved before they bid on a property, just so they know how much money they can get. But you will have to have 10% down within 48 hours of the auction closing. So that money gets put down, and then whatever between you and the bank, again, as far as financing goes, if the bank will borrow up to $500,000, typically they'll give you 80% of the appraised value. That's between you and the bank. But you don't need pre-approval as far as we're concerned, but I certainly would recommend it that you have your finances in order so that you know where you're going with that. As far as the bidding process, if you see the auction or the term on our website that says bidding begins ending at 7 p.m. The reason it says that is it's an auction. So people determine when it's over. So if the timer is less than 5 minutes and somebody places a bid, the auction will extend typically 5 minutes. So, and again, read the terms. They will vary occasionally, but normally it's 5 minutes. So at any time that timer is less than 5 minutes, somebody places a bid, it will jump back to 5 minutes, count down again. If it's 10 seconds and somebody bids, it's going to jump back to 5 minutes. So just know that it's an auction. It's not a timed sale like, a retail store has, where sale is at 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. At 8, it's over. Nope. It's an auction. People determine when it's over. As far as the registration process, you will need to register for an account on our website. It will require a credit card, as we sell lots of personal property as well. And the system will use your credit card to verify your information, just to make sure you're a real person and not somebody trying to scam the system. So just know that you will need to enter a credit card. We will never charge credit cards for real estate. You will either give us the 10% down via bank check or wire transfer. As far as the down payment, we send out wiring instructions, etc., for you to get us that money. So you will never charge a credit card for real estate. But when it comes to contents and content auctions, that's when the credit card comes in, and those terms are in those specific auctions.